The massive doors to the Galactic Council chamber slid open with a hiss. Ambassador Marcus Reynolds stepped through, flanked by Captain Diana Foster and Lieutenant Jack Morris. They walked forward with measured steps, their footfalls echoing across the vast circular hall. Above them, tier upon tier of seats rose into shadows, filled with representatives from over 300 alien civilizations. Marcus tried not to look intimidated. He was the first human to ever stand in this chamber, representing a planet that had achieved faster-than-light travel only 15 years ago. The three humans approached the central platform, a circular stage bathed in cool blue light. The representatives from Sol 3, known locally as Earth, may address the council, announced Grand Arbiter Klaxon, an 8-foot-tall being with gleaming silver skin that reflected the chamber's lights. His voice boomed without any visible amplification system. Marcus cleared his throat, straightening his Navy diplomatic uniform. Honorable members of the Galactic Council, I thank you for granting Earth this emergency audience. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Many counselors leaned forward, examining these newcomers with multiple eyes, sensory tentacles, or other organs humans couldn't name. Emergency audiences are rare, said Counselor Varix, a mantis-like being whose translator rendered her clicks and chirps into smooth, almost musical speech, especially from a species that has barely left its home system. What could possibly warrant such urgency? Marcus nodded to Diana, who activated a small device on her wrist. The center of the chamber filled with a holographic display showing what appeared to be mining operations on an asteroid. The image zoomed in to reveal small figures working in harsh conditions. Human children. 3 days ago, one of our exploration vessels detected a distress signal from the Proxima Centauri system, Marcus explained, his voice steady despite the rage he felt. What they found was this facility, operated by forces bearing the insignia of the Imperium. 137 human children, ages 5 to 16, working in conditions that violate every standard in your own galactic charter of sentient rights. The chamber erupted in overlapping voices, some translated, others not. Grand Arbiter Klaxon slammed a ceremonial staff against the floor 3 times and silence fell. These are serious accusations against a founding member of the Council, Klaxon said. Do you have proof these children are from Earth? Lieutenant Morris stepped forward. DNA confirmation, linguistic analysis, and medical records retrieved from the facility's databases. He paused. And their testimony. Diana tapped her wrist again, and the hologram changed to show the face of a thin boy, perhaps 12 years old. My name is David Moore. I was taken from my home in North America, Earth, when I was 7. There are others like me. They come at night. They take us from our beds. The guards say we're just animals, that our planet doesn't matter. They make us work until we can't stand, please. If anyone finds this, tell Earth we're still alive. The recording ended. The chamber remained deathly quiet. From a shadowed section high in the chamber came a harsh laugh. A figure moved forward into the light. Marshal Vortek of the Imperium, a reptilian being with scales that shifted color with his mood. Currently, they pulsed an arrogant purple. This is absurd, Vortek said, his voice dripping with disdain. The Imperium has no knowledge of such operations. These could be fabrications or perhaps rogue elements acting without authorization. The humans are new to space travel. Perhaps they misunderstood what they saw. Marcus felt his hands tighten into fists. Diana touched his arm lightly, a reminder to maintain protocol. We found 6 more facilities after the first, Marcus continued, his voice tight with controlled anger. All operating under Imperium protocols, all staffed by Imperium military personnel, all containing human children. Some taken as recently as 3 months ago. Others, he swallowed hard, others have been captive for decades. How convenient that only humans discovered these supposed facilities, Vortek countered. Why has no other species encountered them in all their travels? Lieutenant Morris spoke up. The facilities were shielded with technology that masks life signs and communications. We only found them because the children at the first facility managed to modify their environmental systems to broadcast on frequencies Earth still uses but most advanced civilizations consider obsolete. Marcus nodded to Diana again. She tapped her wrist, and the hologram shifted to show military logs, supply requisitions, transport orders, all bearing official Imperium seals. We recovered these documents from the facility's command centers, Marcus explained. They detail an operation spanning over 70 Earth years. Selective abductions designed to avoid detection, training programs, distribution networks for human labor. Counselor Trell of the Arcturan Collective stood, their luminescent body pulsing with agitation. If these documents are authentic, this constitutes a Class 1 violation of Council law. Unauthorized contact with pre-spaceflight civilizations is forbidden. Abduction and enslavement of sentience is forbidden. These documents prove nothing, Vortek insisted, his scales now flashing angry red. They could be forgeries. The Imperium has no need for primitive human labor. Then explain this, Diana said, activating a final hologram. It showed a massive underground complex, where hundreds of small figures worked at strange machines. Overseers with Imperium uniforms patrolled the rows with shock prods. The image zoomed in on a wall where a large emblem was prominently displayed, the official seal of the Imperium's Special Resources Division. This facility is located on Drakkar 4, a planet under direct Imperium control, Diana continued. Our intelligence suggests there are at least 12 more such installations throughout Imperium space. We estimate over 4,000 Earth children are currently held in slavery. The chamber erupted again. But this time Grand Arbiter Klaxon made no move to silence the outrage. Representatives from dozens of worlds turned toward the Imperium section, shouting questions and accusations. Vortek stood rigid, his scales now a mottled mixture of red and black. This is a fabrication, a ploy by these primitives to gain sympathy from the Council. The Imperium demands these humans be removed and censured for these false accusations. Marcus stepped forward, his voice cutting through the noise. Earth demands the immediate return of all abducted humans and reparations for this crime against our people. We have already rescued the children from the 7 facilities we discovered. We are prepared to recover the rest ourselves if necessary. The chamber fell silent at his words. Vortek's mouth stretched into what might have been a smile on a human face, but on his reptilian features looked predatory. You, a minor species that has barely mastered rudimentary space travel. The Imperium controls 30% of this galaxy. We have fleets that could reduce your world to ash. You have no standing here, no power to make demands. Marcus met Vortek's gaze steadily. We were hoping for a diplomatic solution. That's why we came to the Council first. And if diplomacy fails? Vortek asked mockingly. Captain Diana Foster stepped forward. Her hand moved to her side where a weapon would be if they had been allowed to bring any into the chamber. Then we stop asking nicely, she said, her voice like steel. You've been taking our children for 7 decades, Marshal Vortek. Did you really think we wouldn't notice? Or did you just think we couldn't do anything about it? Is that a threat? Vortek snarled. It's a promise, Diana replied evenly. Earth has given the Imperium 48 hours to begin returning our people. After that, we will recover them ourselves. Laughter erupted from the Imperium section of the chamber. Vortek gestured dismissively. With what? Your primitive ships? Your laughable weapons? You would be annihilated before reaching our outer defense perimeter. Marcus smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. It wasn't a pleasant expression. Marshal Vortek, did you ever wonder why, despite having technology capable of detecting your ships entering our atmosphere, we never mounted an effective defense against your abduction squads? The Marshal's scales flickered with uncertainty. We knew. Marcus continued. We've known about the abductions for 50 years. We tracked your ships. We studied your technology. We prepared. Impossible, Vortek whispered. The first facility we found wasn't discovered by accident, Lieutenant Morris added. We followed one of your ships after it took 3 children from a small town. We wanted to confirm what we suspected before bringing this to the Council. Diana's wrist device projected a new image. A massive shipyard hidden beneath the surface of Mars, filled with vessels of clearly human design, but incorporating technology that made several Council members gasp. Earth has been building in secret, Marcus explained to the stunned Council. Preparing for this day, we hoped it would never come. We hoped to join the galactic community peacefully, but we always knew what you were doing, Marshal Vortek, and we've been getting ready to stop you. Grand Arbiter Klaxon rose from his seat, towering over the chamber. This Council will convene an emergency tribunal to examine these accusations. If verified, the consequences for the Imperium will be severe. Earth appreciates the Council's concern, Marcus replied, bowing slightly, but our deadline stands. 48 hours. As the human delegation turned to leave, Vortex's voice rang out.
This is suicide.
The Earth vessel Defiance dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Proxima Centauri system. Its sleek, dark hull absorbed rather than reflected light, making it nearly invisible against the backdrop of space. On the bridge, Admiral James Walker stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the main display. "Status report," he ordered. His second-in-command, Commander Olivia Reed, consulted her screens. "No Imperium vessels detected in the system yet, Admiral. Our stealth systems are holding. The rest of the fleet is in position at the designated coordinates." Walker nodded. After the confrontation at the Galactic Council 2 days ago, Earth had mobilized its hidden fleet. For decades, humanity had maintained the appearance of having only basic space travel capabilities, while secretly developing technologies reverse-engineered from captured Imperium vessels. "Any word from Ambassador Reynolds?" Walker asked. "His last transmission came 3 hours ago," Reed replied. "The Council remains deadlocked. The Imperium representatives are denying everything, claiming our evidence is fabricated." Walker's expression hardened. "And our deadline?" "Expires in 5 hours." The Admiral turned to the ship's tactical officer, Lieutenant Paul Navarro. "Status of the rescue teams?" "Ready, sir. Strike teams are prepared for simultaneous deployment to all 12 confirmed child labor facilities." Walker activated the ship's communication system. "This is Admiral Walker to all Earth vessels. The diplomatic window is closing. We will proceed with Operation Homecoming as planned. Our priority is rescuing the children. Engage Imperium forces only if necessary for mission success or self-defense." A chorus of acknowledgments came through the speakers. Earth's fleet consisted of 27 advanced warships, each carrying specialized strike teams trained specifically for this mission. They had been preparing for years, ever since intelligence services confirmed the systematic abduction of Earth's children. "Sir," Commander Reed called out, her voice tense, "we're detecting multiple ships entering the system. Imperium signatures." The main display shifted to show 5 massive vessels appearing at the system's edge. Each dwarfed the Defiance by at least 5 times. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies," Lieutenant Navarro reported, "demanding we stand down and surrender for illegal incursion into sovereign Imperium territory." Walker's jaw tightened. "Broadcast our response on the same channels. Inform the Imperium commander that we are here to recover illegally abducted Earth citizens. We have no quarrel with them if they allow us to complete our mission peacefully." As Navarro relayed the message, Walker turned to Reed. "Deploy reconnaissance drones to the facility on Proxima Centauri 3. I want real-time updates on the children's condition." "Sir," Navarro interrupted, "the Imperium commander is responding." The main display changed to show Marshal Vortek himself, his scales a confident shade of amber. "Admiral Walker of Earth," he said, his voice dripping with condescension. "Your presence here is a violation of established boundaries. Your accusations at the Council were an embarrassment. Turn your vessels around immediately, or face the consequences of challenging the Imperium." Walker stepped forward. "Marshal Vortek, we have confirmed the presence of illegally detained human children on Proxima Centauri III. We are here to recover them." "Stand aside," Vortek's scales flushed red. "You test my patience, human. Your primitive vessels are no match for Imperium technology. This is your final warning." The transmission cut off. Walker turned to his bridge crew. "Battle stations. Activate defensive systems but hold fire unless fired upon." Alarms sounded throughout the ship as crew members rushed to their positions. The Defiance's advanced shielding systems, hidden beneath its conventional hull design, hummed to life. "Sir," Reed reported, "reconnaissance drones confirm the presence of 143 human children in the Proxima facility. Guards appear to be moving them deeper into the complex." Walker nodded grimly. "They're trying to use them as hostages. Deploy Strike Team Alpha immediately. Stealth approach." On the main display, the Imperium vessels began to move, spreading out to surround the much smaller Earth ship. "They're charging weapon systems," Navarro warned. Walker remained calm. "Hold position. Let them make the first move." The lead Imperium vessel fired, a brilliant beam of energy lancing toward the Defiance. At the last moment, the Earth ship's true defensive capabilities revealed themselves. The beam hit an invisible barrier and dissipated harmlessly. Shield integrity at 98%. reported the Defensive Systems Officer, Lieutenant Grace Thompson. Their weapons are powerful, sir, but not as advanced as our intelligence suggested. They're using older tech, Walker observed. They don't consider us worth the newest equipment. He allowed himself a small, grim smile. Their mistake. On the display, the Imperium vessels were clearly surprised by the Earthship's resilience. They fired again, multiple beams from different angles. Shields holding at 95%, Thompson reported. Strike Team Alpha has successfully deployed to the surface. No detection by facility security systems. Walker nodded. Now we show them what we can really do. Target the lead vessel's propulsion systems. Disable only, no critical damage. Navarro input the commands. Target locked. Fire. A pulse of energy unlike anything the Imperium had seen before shot from the Defiance. It bypassed the lead vessel's shields completely, striking directly at its engines. The massive ship immediately went dark, drifting powerlessly. The bridge crew worked silently, efficiently, as years of training took over. The remaining Imperium vessels regrouped, clearly reassessing their approach. Sir, Reed reported. Strike Team Alpha has reached the detention level. They've encountered resistance. 12 Imperium guards eliminated. No team casualties. Walker kept his eyes on the tactical display. The other Imperium ships? Maintaining distance now. They're scanning us, trying to figure out what just happened. Open a channel to all Imperium vessels, Walker ordered. When the connection was established, he spoke clearly and firmly. Imperium vessels, this is Admiral Walker of Earth. As you can see, we are not the primitives you believed us to be. We have disabled your lead ship without destroying it, as a demonstration of both our capabilities and our restraint. Our only goal is to recover our children. Stand down and you will suffer no further losses. The response was immediate. All 4 remaining Imperium ships opened fire simultaneously. They're not going to make this easy, Walker noted calmly. Lieutenant Navarro, execute pattern Theta. Let's show them what else we can do. The Defiance suddenly seemed to blink out of existence, reappearing instantly behind one of the Imperium vessels. Another pulse of energy and a second Imperium ship lost power. Status of Strike Team Alpha? Walker asked. They've secured 53 children so far, Reed reported. Resistance is intensifying. The facility commander has triggered some kind of lockdown protocol. Walker frowned. Deploy Strike Teams Beta and Gamma for reinforcement. Use entry points 2 and 7 as planned. As orders were relayed, the bridge tactical officer spoke up. Sir, we're detecting multiple hyperspace signatures. More Imperium vessels incoming. Walker had anticipated this. All Earth vessels, this is Admiral Walker. Phase 2 is now active. Reveal positions and engage according to mission parameters. Across the Proxima Centauri system, the rest of Earth's hidden fleet suddenly dropped their stealth fields. The Imperium reinforcements found themselves surrounded by Earth vessels that seemed to appear from nowhere. Incoming transmission, Navarro announced. It's Marshal Vortek again. The Marshal's face appeared on screen, his scales now a mottled pattern of red and black. Rage and fear. What trickery is this? Where did these ships come from? Walker met his gaze steadily. We told you at the council, Marshal. We've been preparing. For 50 years we studied your technology while you thought we were defenseless. We recovered the wreckage of your abduction ships. We reversed engineered your systems and improved upon them. Impossible, Vortex snarled. You're a primitive species. You've barely left your own system. That's what we wanted you to think, Walker replied. Your arrogance made it easy. You never considered that we might be hiding our true capabilities. Strike teams report all children secured, Reed interrupted. Beginning extraction, Walker nodded. Marshal Vortek, our teams have recovered the children from this facility. We will be proceeding to the other 11 locations we've identified. I suggest you order your forces to stand down. We have no desire for further conflict. Vortek's scales pulsed with rage. This is an act of war. The Imperium will not forget this humiliation. This isn't war, Marshal, Walker replied calmly. This is a rescue operation. But if you force us to fight, you will discover exactly what humans are capable of when our children are threatened. He cut the transmission and turned to his officers. Status of extraction? Transport vessels are loading now, Reed reported. Estimated 10 minutes until completion. Walker nodded. Prepare to jump to the next facility location as soon as the transports are secure. He looked around the bridge, meeting the eyes of each officer. This is just the beginning. The Imperium won't... The Galactic Council chamber had never been so crowded. Representatives from hundreds of worlds packed the tiered seating, with even more watching through holographic connections. 4 days had passed since Earth's fleet had begun systematic strikes against Imperium facilities, and the galaxy was in an uproar. Grand Arbiter Klaxon called for order, his massive form towering over the central platform. "This emergency session of the Galactic Council will now commence," he announced, his voice echoing through the vast space. "We face an unprecedented crisis. The human world of Earth has launched military operations against multiple Imperium installations." The chamber erupted in overlapping voices until Klaxon slammed his ceremonial staff against the floor 3 times. "Marshal Vortek of the Imperium will address the council first," Klaxon announced. Vortek strode to the center of the chamber, his scales a deep crimson of rage barely contained. Behind him stood a line of Imperium military officers, their expressions grim. "Esteemed council members," Vortek began, his voice tight with fury, "the upstart humans have committed acts of war against the Imperium. They have destroyed defensive installations, killed Imperium citizens, and stolen valuable resources. They must be held accountable for these unprovoked attacks." A murmur ran through the assembly. Vortek continued, his voice rising. "These humans claim they are rescuing abducted children, but this is merely a pretext for aggression. The Imperium categorically denies any systematic abduction of Earth children. We demand that the Council authorize a joint military response to this threat before other minor species are emboldened to similar acts of rebellion." As Vortek finished, Ambassador Marcus Reynolds walked into the chamber with Captain Diana Foster and Lieutenant Jack Morris. They looked tired but determined. "The representatives from Earth may respond," Klaxon announced. Marcus approached the center of the chamber slowly. "Council members, the Imperium continues to deny what we have now proven beyond any doubt." He activated a holographic display showing hundreds of human children receiving medical treatment aboard Earth vessels. In the past 4 days, Earth forces have rescued 2,716 children from Imperium facilities across 12 worlds. Many bear signs of long-term abuse and neglect. Some have been captives for decades. He paused, letting the images speak for themselves. "These are not valuable resources, these are our children." He gestured, and the display changed to show captured Imperium records, facility layouts, and transport logs. "We have recovered extensive documentation detailing 7 decades of systematic abduction of human children. The Imperium selected remote, low-population areas of Earth for their operations to minimize detection. They specifically targeted children between ages 5 and 10, taking them to facilities designed to exploit their smaller size for mining operations, technological research, and..." He paused, his voice tight with controlled rage. "Entertainment for Imperium elites." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Marcus continued, "Earth did not want conflict. We came to the Council first, seeking a diplomatic solution. We gave the Imperium 48 hours to acknowledge these crimes and begin returning our children. They responded with denial and threats. We were left with no choice but to act." Marshal Vortek interrupted, his scales now pulsing between red and black. "These so-called proofs could easily be fabricated. The humans have clearly been planning this attack for years. They deceived the Council about their technological capabilities. They hid their true military strength. These are not the actions of a peaceful species." Marcus nodded. "On this point at least, the Marshal is correct. Earth has indeed hidden its true capabilities." He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of various representatives. "When we first detected Imperium abduction ships 50 years ago, we faced a choice: reveal what we knew and likely face annihilation by a vastly superior force, or bide our time, study their technology, and prepare to rescue our people when we were ready." He gestured, and the display showed Earth's hidden fleet, dozens of advanced warships that had been concealed throughout the solar system. "We chose patience over immediate action. We reverse-engineered Imperium technology from their crashed abduction vessels. We built our fleet in secret. We maintained a facade of having only rudimentary space travel capabilities." Marcus looked directly at Vortek. "The Imperium's arrogance made this deception easy. They never considered that primitive humans could be a threat." Counselor Trell of the Arcturan Collective rose from their seat. "Ambassador Reynolds, while these revelations are disturbing, the fact remains that Earth launched military strikes against Imperium installations without Council authorization. This violates our most fundamental principles of collective security. Marcus nodded respectfully. Counselor Trell, Earth recognizes the authority of the Council. But when our diplomatic efforts failed, when the Imperium denied everything despite overwhelming evidence, we had to act. Every day that passed meant more suffering for our children. At that moment, the chamber doors opened again. A group of human children entered, escorted by Earth medical personnel. The oldest appeared to be in their teens, the youngest no more than 6 or 7. Many had visible scars or moved with the stiffness of old injuries. They looked around the massive chamber with wide, fearful eyes. A profound silence fell over the council as the children were guided to stand near the Earth delegation. One girl, perhaps 14, stepped forward. She had dark hair and haunted eyes that looked much older than her physical form. "My name is Lily Bennett," she said, her voice small but clear in the silent chamber. "I was taken from my home when I was 6 years old. I've spent 8 years in the mining facility on Drakkar 4. She pulled up her sleeve, revealing a barcode tattooed on her arm. "We were property, not people. They worked us until we collapsed. Those who couldn't keep up disappeared." She looked directly at Marshal Vortek, who had gone completely still. "I recognize you," she said. "You visited the facility last year. You walked right past me. You saw what they were doing to us and you did nothing." Vortek's scales had turned an ashen gray. This is an outrage. Bringing children here to make emotional appeals. The Imperium demands— "The Imperium will be silent," interrupted Grand Arbiter Klaxon, his voice like thunder. He descended from his elevated position to stand before Lily. Though his alien form was imposing, he bent down to address her at eye level. "Child of Earth, the Council hears you," he said solemnly. "No sentient being should suffer as you have." He straightened and turned to face the assembly. "The evidence presented by Earth cannot be dismissed. These crimes against children violate our most sacred principles." Marshal Vortek tried to speak again, but several council members shouted him down. Counselor Varix rose, her mantis-like form trembling. With what appeared to be anger, "I move that the Council immediately dispatch independent investigators to all identified facilities in Imperium, worlds where human children may be held," she announced. "Furthermore, I move that all Imperium military forces stand down until this investigation is complete." Vortek laughed harshly. "The Imperium will not submit to such demands. We are a founding member of this council. We control the largest military force in the galaxy." Grand Arbiter Klaxon turned slowly to face him. "Are you declaring the Imperium exempt from council authority, Marshal Vortek?" Before Vortek could answer, his communication device chimed urgently. One of his officers whispered something in his ear. Vortek's scales paled to an almost white color. "What is it, Marshal?" Klaxon asked. Vortek looked up, shock evident in his alien features. "Earth forces have breached the defenses of our throne world. They are in orbit around Imperial Prime." The chamber erupted in chaos. Imperial Prime was the heart of the Imperium, a fortress world protected by the most advanced defense systems in known space. That Earth vessels had reached it was inconceivable. Marcus stepped forward again. "We have no desire to attack Imperial Prime," he stated clearly. "Our forces are there for one reason only: to recover the 543 human children being held in the royal compound itself." He activated his communication device. "Admiral Walker, you're on speakers in the Galactic Council chamber." "This is Admiral Walker of Earth Vessel Defiance," came the reply. "Our scans have confirmed the presence of human children in the Royal Palace complex on Imperial Prime. We have bypassed the orbital defense grid without engaging. We are prepared to send in extraction teams, but would prefer a peaceful handover." Vortek stared at the humans with a mixture of rage and disbelief. "This is impossible. Imperial Prime's defenses are impenetrable. You cannot have defeated our security systems." "We didn't defeat them," Lieutenant Jack Morris explained. "We simply went around them. Your defense grid is designed to stop conventional approaches. Our ships use a different method of faster-than-light travel that your sensors can't detect." Another Imperium officer rushed into the chamber and whispered urgently to Vortek. The Marshal's scales shifted rapidly through colors before settling on a defeated gray. "The human ships," he said, his voice barely audible. "They are directly above the Royal Palace. Our weapons cannot lock onto them." The palace on Imperial Prime gleamed in the light of twin suns, its crystal spires reaching toward the sky like accusing fingers. Inside the main audience chamber, Emperor Drav of the Imperium sat on his elevated throne, surrounded by nervous advisors and grim-faced military officers. "How many Earth vessels are in orbit?" the Emperor demanded, his scales shifting between anxious yellow and angry red. Fleet Commander Jorax bowed low. 17 confirmed ships, Your Majesty. They have positioned themselves above major government installations but have taken no hostile action. No hostile action? Emperor Drav hissed. Their mere presence is an act of war. How did they penetrate our defenses? Unknown, Your Majesty, Jorax admitted. Our sensors detected nothing until they were already in position. They appear to use some form of travel technology we haven't encountered before. A security officer stepped forward. Your Majesty, we've received a transmission from the Earth flagship. They're requesting direct communication with you. Emperor Drav's scales flushed deep crimson. They dare to make demands of me? I who rule 1,000 worlds? Your Majesty, his chief advisor whispered urgently. The Galactic Council has voted to support Earth's claims. They've dispatched investigators to our worlds. If we refuse to cooperate, I am aware of the political realities, Drav snapped. He sat in silence for a moment, his ancient mind calculating options. Finally, he nodded. Connect the transmission. Main display. The massive screen at the front of the chamber flickered to life, showing Admiral James Walker of Earth. Behind him stood a team of human officers on the bridge of their vessel. Emperor Drav. Walker began without preamble. I am Admiral Walker of the Earth Defense Force. We have confirmed the presence of 543 human children within your palace complex. Admiral Walker, Emperor Drav responded, his voice carefully controlled. Your presence in this system is a violation of Imperium sovereignty. However, given recent diplomatic developments, I am willing to discuss this matter. Walker's expression remained impassive. There is nothing to discuss, Emperor. We are here to recover our people. You will release all human children into our custody immediately. Drav's scales rippled with indignation. You are in no position to issue ultimatums. The Imperium still commands the largest military force in the galaxy, a force that cannot detect or target our vessels. Walker pointed out. Emperor Drav, we have disabled 7 of your military installations without destroying them. We have demonstrated both our capabilities and our restraint. The Admiral leaned forward slightly. I have strike teams ready to deploy. They will recover our children with or without your cooperation. The choice is yours. Emperor Drav rose from his throne, towering over his advisors. For millennia, the Imperium had ruled through fear and military might. No species had dared challenge them so directly. These accusations are baseless, he declared. If human children are present on Imperial Prime, it is without my knowledge or authorization. A new figure stepped into view on the Earth vessel's bridge, a human woman in a medical uniform. Emperor Drav, I am Dr. Natalie Wilson. I've been treating the children we've rescued from your facilities. Many bear identification marks linking them directly to your Royal Research Division. She held up a tablet showing documentation with the Imperial seal. These requisition orders for human specimens bear your personal authorization code. They date back 30 years. Drav's advisors exchanged worried glances. The Emperor's scales turned a mottled pattern of gray and black. Such documents could easily be forged, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. We also have testimony. Dr. Wilson continued. She stepped aside, revealing a thin human male who appeared to be in his 30s but whose eyes held the haunted look of someone who had endured far too much. My name is Robert Keene, the man said, his voice steady despite the visible trembling of his hands. I was taken from Earth when I was 8 years old. I have spent 27 years in the laboratories beneath your palace, Emperor Drav. He pulled up his sleeve, revealing not just an identification barcode but a series of surgical scars. Your scientists were particularly interested in human neural pathways. They conducted experiments without anesthesia to observe pain responses. I watched dozens of other children die during these procedures. Robert's voice never wavered, though tears streamed down his face. You personally visited the laboratories at least once a year. You observed the experiments. You approved new testing protocols. You knew exactly what was happening to us. The chamber fell silent. Emperor Drav slowly sank back onto his throne. Admiral Walker spoke again. We have transmitted this evidence to the Galactic Council. Independent investigators are on their way to Imperial Prime now. Emperor Drav, for the last time, release our people. Drav looked to his military commanders. What are our options if we refuse? Fleet Commander Jorak straightened. We could activate the planetary defense grid, Your Majesty. The human vessels would be destroyed if they attempted to breach the atmosphere. And if they have already found a way past our orbital defenses? Drav asked quietly. Jorax had no answer. The Emperor turned back to the screen. Very well, Admiral Walker. I will order the release of any human subjects found within the palace complex. But know this, the Imperium does not forget such humiliation. Walker's expression remained unchanged. Neither does Earth, Emperor. We will expect the first transfers to begin within 1 hour. The transmission ended. Emperor Drav rose and walked to a private communication terminal, entering a series of commands with trembling claws. When he returned, his scales had settled into a cold blue of calculation. Prepare my personal vessel, he ordered. I will be departing for the secure facility on Nexus 9. His chief advisor stepped forward hesitantly. Your Majesty, what of the human children? Drav's mouth twisted into what might have been a smile. Release those in the main laboratory complex as promised. The humans will be satisfied with their victory. And the others? The advisor asked quietly. The subjects in sublevel 12 are too valuable to surrender, Drav said. Have them transferred to my vessel immediately. We will continue our research at the Nexus facility. Little did the Emperor know that every word spoken in the palace was being monitored by Earth's advanced surveillance technology. On board the Defiance, Admiral Walker turned to his communications officer. Did you get all that? Every word, sir, the officer confirmed. The Emperor is planning to evacuate with some of the children to a facility called Nexus 9. Walker's expression hardened. Alert strike teams Alpha and Delta. New mission parameters. Secure sublevel 12 and intercept the Emperor's vessel before it can leave the system. Sir, Commander Reed interrupted, sublevel 12 doesn't appear on any of the palace schematics we've acquired. We don't know where it is or what defenses it might have. Walker considered this. Contact Robert Keene. If he was held in the palace laboratories for 27 years, he might know something. Minutes later, Robert Keene joined them on the bridge. Despite his frail appearance, there was a strength in his eyes that decades of captivity hadn't extinguished. Sublevel 12, he said when asked. Yes, I know it. It's where they take the children who show particular resilience or unusual abilities. I was briefly held there before being moved to the main labs. He approached a display showing the palace layout and pointed to a section that appeared to be solid rock. The entrance is here, disguised as part of the Foundation. The elevator requires Imperial genetic authentication to operate. Can you guide our teams through another way? Walker asked. Robert nodded. There's a maintenance shaft that connects to the ventilation system. It's small, designed for service drones, not adult Imperium personnel. Human strike team members could fit, though. Walker nodded. Thank you, Robert. This information may help us save dozens of lives. As the strike teams made their final preparations, Commander Reed approached the Admiral. Sir, the Emperor's vessel is being prepared for launch. It's a royal yacht with significant defensive capabilities and faster-than-light drives. If he escapes with even one child, Walker began. He won't, Reed assured him. I've dispatched the interceptor to blockade the royal spaceport. Nothing will leave the surface without our permission. On the surface of Imperial Prime, Strike Team Alpha moved silently through the palace gardens, their advanced stealth suits rendering them nearly invisible to Imperium security systems. Led by Captain Frank Russo, the 6-person team had successfully infiltrated the palace perimeter without triggering alarms. Central, this is Alpha Leader, Russo whispered into his comm unit. We're approaching the maintenance entrance Keene identified. Acknowledged, Alpha Leader, came the response from the Defiance. Delta Team is in position to intercept any transport attempts from the royal hangar. Russo signaled his team forward. They moved like shadows through ornamental bushes past oblivious palace guards. Years of training for this specific mission made their movements fluid and precise. The maintenance entrance was exactly where Robert had described. A small hatch partially concealed by decorative stonework. It required only minimal technology to bypass the lock. We're in, Russo reported as his team slipped inside, proceeding to sublevel 12. 1 year after Operation Homecoming, the Galactic Council convened for what many called the most significant session in its 10,000-year history. The massive chamber had been reconfigured, with a new circular arrangement of seats that eliminated the hierarchical tiers of the past. No species now sat higher than another, a symbolic change that reflected the shifting balance of power across the galaxy. Ambassador Marcus Reynolds entered alongside Captain Diana Foster, both wearing the formal blue and silver uniforms of Earth's diplomatic corps. They nodded to representatives from various worlds as they made their way to Earth's designated section. Many returned the gesture with newfound respect. Grand Arbiter Klaxon called the session to order. Representatives of the galactic community, we gather today to formalize the most comprehensive reorganization of galactic governance since the Council's founding. The chamber quieted as Klaxon continued. For too long, the Council operated under the shadow of Imperium dominance. The events of the past year have revealed the corruption that festered within that system. Holographic displays activated around the chamber, showing the results of the year-long investigation into Imperium activities. The evidence had been damning. Not only had they enslaved human children, but similar operations had targeted dozens of other species deemed primitive or unimportant. The trial of Emperor Drav and his high command concluded last month, Klaxon reminded the assembly. Their conviction for crimes against sentient beings has been recorded in the permanent archives. The former Imperium territories have been reorganized into independent systems under Council protection. Marcus listened attentively. The fall of the Imperium had created a power vacuum that could have led to chaos. But the Council had acted with unexpected unity to establish a more equitable form of galactic governance. Earth had played a key role in that transition. Today we finalize the new Galactic Charter, Klaxon announced. Among its core principles is the absolute prohibition of interference with developing worlds without their knowledge and consent, and the establishment of the Sentient Rights Enforcement Division to prevent future abuses. He gestured toward the Earth delegation. Ambassador Reynolds will address the Council regarding the final element of today's agenda. Marcus walked to the central platform. A year ago, he had stood here as a representative of a seemingly minor world, pleading for the return of Earth's children. Today, he spoke as a key architect of the new galactic order. Esteemed representatives, he began, Earth thanks the Council for its dedication to justice over the past year. The recovery of our children and the reformation of galactic governance stand as testaments to what we can achieve together. He activated a holographic display showing Earth's solar system. When humanity discovered the abduction of our children, we responded as any species would, with determination to recover them at any cost. In doing so, we revealed capabilities we had developed in secret. Today, in the spirit of the new transparency mandated by the Galactic Charter, Earth will fully disclose its technological and defensive capabilities. The display expanded to show Earth's fleet, vessels of advanced design utilizing technologies that had surprised even the most developed Council worlds. 50 years ago, Earth recovered the wreckage of an Imperium abduction vessel, Marcus explained. From it, we learned not only that we were not alone in the universe, but that an advanced empire was stealing our children. Rather than revealing our discovery, we chose a path of secret preparation. The display showed underground facilities where humans had reverse-engineered and improved upon Imperium technology. We developed faster-than-light capabilities that operate on principles unknown to Imperium science. We created weapons designed to disable rather than destroy. We built shields that could protect our world from attack. Marcus paused, looking around the chamber. We did all this not out of imperial ambition, but from the most basic instinct any species knows, the drive to protect our young. Councillor Varix rose from her seat, her mantis-like form towering over neighboring representatives. Ambassador Reynolds, while Earth's motivations were understandable, the fact remains that your world concealed advanced military capabilities from the Council. Some would consider this a violation of trust. Marcus nodded. A fair point, Councillor. Earth hid its true capabilities because we faced an existential threat from an overwhelming force that controlled this very Council. Today we choose a different path. He activated another display, showing technical specifications for Earth's most advanced systems. Earth is prepared to share all our technological developments with the Council. Our faster-than-light drive designs, our shield harmonics, our precision targeting systems, all will be made available to any world that commits to the principles of the new charter. A murmur of surprise rippled through the chamber. Few had expected such openness from a species that had guarded its secrets so carefully. Furthermore, Marcus continued, Earth requests full membership in the Council, with all the responsibilities that entails. We seek not dominance but partnership. The galaxy has lived too long under the shadow of a single dominant power. The future must be built on cooperation and mutual respect. Grand Arbiter Claxon nodded approvingly. The Council will vote on Earth's application for full membership. All representatives register your position. Throughout the chamber, indicators began to glow as worlds cast their votes. The tally appeared on the main display, growing rapidly in favor of acceptance. When the final count was displayed, the result was nearly unanimous. By decision of the Council, Earth is granted full membership status, Claxon announced. Ambassador Reynolds, Captain Foster, please accept the formal recognition of your world as equals in galactic governance. As Marcus and Diana received the ceremonial tokens of membership, the doors at the back of the chamber opened. A group of humans entered, the rehabilitation specialists who had been working with the rescued children, accompanied by several of the young people themselves. Among them walked Lily Bennett, the girl who had addressed the Council a year ago. Now 15, Lily moved with more confidence. The haunted look in her eyes had not completely disappeared, but it had been joined by something new: determination. She approached the central platform and stood beside Marcus. With the Council's permission, Marcus said, Lily Bennett wishes to address the assembly. Claxon gestured for her to proceed. Lily took a deep breath and looked around the chamber. 1 year ago I stood in this room as a rescued captive, she began, her voice stronger than before. I had spent 8 years as property of the Imperium. I didn't know if I would ever see Earth again, or if anyone there even remembered me. She squared her shoulders. Today I return not just as a survivor, but as the youngest member of Earth's new interspecies relations program. Many of the children rescued during Operation Homecoming have joined this initiative. We understand better than most the importance of building trust between different worlds. From around the chamber, representatives watched with evident emotion as Lily continued. Some of us spent most of our lives away from Earth. We grew up surrounded by alien technologies, languages, and cultures. It was a terrible way to learn, but what we learned may now help prevent future conflicts. We can be bridges between Earth and the wider galaxy. She gestured to the other young people who had entered with her. Each of us has chosen to use our experiences to help build something better. Some are training as diplomats. Others are working with scientists to adapt technologies for peaceful purposes. A few are helping develop new security protocols to protect developing worlds from exploitation. Lily's voice grew firmer. What happened to us was wrong, but what Earth did to rescue us was right. And what the Council is doing now, creating systems to prevent such abuses in the future, that's right too. She looked directly at the Grand Arbiter. The children of Earth thank the Council for justice, and we pledge our efforts to ensure no child of any species ever experiences what we did. As Lily finished, the chamber erupted in a sound rarely heard in Council proceedings. Applause. Representatives from hundreds of worlds expressed their approval and respect. After the formal session concluded, Marcus, Diana, and Lily met with representatives from several key worlds in a smaller chamber adjacent to the main hall. The atmosphere was collegial, with species that had once viewed each other with suspicion now engaged in productive dialogue. Ambassador Reynolds, said Counselor Trell of the Arcturan Collective, Earth's decision to share its technological advances is most generous. My world is particularly interested in your non-destructive weapon systems. Marcus nodded. Our scientists can begin the knowledge transfer immediately. Earth developed these systems specifically to minimize casualties during Operation Homecoming. We believed then, as we do now, that vengeance through mass destruction solves nothing. Diana added, Our mission was rescue, not retribution. That principle guided every tactical decision. Counselor Varix approached Lily. Young human, your words today moved many hearts. The Council's new youth protection directives were largely inspired by testimonies from you and your fellow survivors.